I have with me Vaidheesh, Vice President of Southeast Asia and Managing Director of GSK India. Vaidheesh, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm trying to understand your numbers there. I don't want to use the word slowdown, but sales or sales growth, Q1 FY19, 21%. Q1 FY 27%. Pharma.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So, first and foremost, I think we need to recognize our Q1 is underlying growth is 12%.
Okay.
And because we discontinued some of the old brands, which was not efficient in our portfolio.
So there is no slowdown, right? At least in pharma, please tell us the good news that there is no slowdown.
You know, I know that this has been a conversation that's been going on even as a president of my industry. I keep telling people that, you know, this is a cyclical, there is a fluctuation that has happened that's giving us scare. If you look at the MAT growth of 16, 17, 18, we are still in and around 8 to 9%. Yeah. Okay. Now, are we in the days of 12 and 13% growth that used to be there? I'm not sure whether you will get 12 and 13% domestic. You should be anywhere between 10 and 11% is possible. I don't think why it should be a slowdown. There are people need to be taken care. The sickness and wellness is very much a agenda of the country, and people are getting educated. People want to consume, want to stay healthy. So
what you're telling us that from late teens you may slip to early teens. But my question is that when we are talking about better healthcare, more insurance, more availability of drugs, why would a late teen number become an early teen number? The fact that you are yourself admitting that the mad growth days are behind us, why a sector like pharma will see a slowdown? Because when protection as a business, healthcare as a category, and premiumization as a trend, I think is on. In all the trends, the mega trends in India, you will benefit.
Well, you also need to remember the fact the pricing is a very important part of any industry. Yeah. So you need to recognize the fact the pharma industry doesn't have the luxury of the kind of pricing that other industry would enjoy. So what you need to focusing is on the volume growth. Mm-hmm. So if you really look at the volume growth, can get affected by consumption of generic medicines, and so what happens is the price getting dropped, but the consumption of volumes will never drop, right? It is the structural changes that are happening. You know, 80% branded generic, about 20% will be generic. So when that happens, the composition, then your pricing becomes a challenge. So I don't think we should be talking about slowdown, but definitely it's not the same as what it used to be in the past.
Right. But tell me, you know, the last we chatted and, you know, one has been tracking the GSK story. You've continued to introduce promising new product launches. Is that the way to go forward? Is that how the company is going to go? And how are some of these new launches doing?
Okay, I think that's a very interesting question. See, one thing you need to remember is that India, we're talking large population. You cannot forget what you need to do to serve the population. It's a combination of mass and combination of specialty. Because the specialty drugs you need to bring in. Future of pharma is going to be in specialty drugs. Like for example, we just launched a product for eosinophilic asthma, which is very difficult to cure. We just launched, and it's an excellent biologic. And you know, we got a phase 4 clinical trial approval. So I think we just launched in April, and that's the kind of thinking that we will have. We will continue to bring in vaccines. We have brought the infantry Sexa. Then we are also bringing in, like looking at Shingrix, looking at you know, there are various brands in the pipeline. But will it be a big component to our business? Mass will continue to be, right? But we need to start investing in specialty, and over a period of time, specialty will become a large portion.
Given what we've heard from the budget in terms of the minimum shareholding, these are very early days, but I'm sure that must have caught your board's attention and your attention, where the threshold limit has to be brought down to 65%. What does that mean for MNCs in India? And would you be tempted now to shift your business to the non-listed subsidiaries?
It's a difficult question to answer, because not from any other point of view. It's just that it's in a proposal stage. Yeah. We really need to get into the detail what it means, right? You know, people can have a lot of speculation as what MNCs are going to do. At this point of time, I think we need to understand more in detail what is the need, why this particular proposal has come in. And later on, I think I will be in a position to
Are you
answer.
committed to keep the firm listed irrespective of what the new law is?
Absolutely. And, we have been here for 94 years and we'll continue to be here for another 100 years. So we are committed to India.
So, okay, let's talk about the performance of the top few brands, 3-4 brands, and also how perhaps the breakup is changing as you continue to introduce new products as well. What the focus will be on going forward, where you're seeing market share expanding, and really what you're going to be pushing on with regards to growth.
See, fundamentally, as you know, pharma, you can get caught into trying to boil the ocean. So first thing is to get a discipline of focus. So what we have decided to do is to put in the energy where it matters. So we decided to focus on 4 to 5 therapy areas. We can go into multiple, but we say let's focus on where we can win. And we can win in a way that large number of patients will get benefited. So anti-infective is something that our strength is. Then we are looking at derma, vaccines, GI is another area. And the respiratory is something we will be selectively play in that area, even though we have a big strength on a global basis. But we have decided to play it on a selective basis in respiratory. That gives a lot of energy to the company when you focus. That's why if you see our first quarter impact, we have been able to get a decent top line growth as well as a decent EBITDA. And that's a kind of expansion will take place. Still, a lot of people don't have an access to our brands, right? So we're putting 30% more field force. We're expanding our field force. We are expanding our manufacturing. So the whole idea is to believe in India, believe in consumption of Indian population, and figure out how to reach them. And that's how we are preparing ourselves for the next phase of growth.
You've always talked about investment-led growth, and really you have been at the forefront of this so far. But do you think now GSK's at least near-term Capex cycle may be coming to an end? Because you've got the Nasik plant, you've got the completion of Bangalore site as well. So in terms of a Capex cycle in the near term, where exactly are you?
I think that's a good question. Exactly, more or less, we are at the end of that Capex cycle for our Vemgal manufacturing site. It should be ready to roll by end of this year, by November. So hopefully that will help us in driving our volume expectation on some of the selected brands like Zantac, and there are a few other brands where we believe the volume is important. So you're right. So at this point of time, we need to start sweating the asset that where we are invested.
Ayushman has changed the way how healthcare in India is going to be consumed and how it would be priced. Pricing is more important because it has changed the way how hospitals would be doing pricing. Is there anything which you think would change the way how drug prices or medicine prices in India would now be moved? There is entire drug price control. There are some drugs which are there in it. There are some drugs which are outside it. What kind of regime do you think we could be in now?
See, it's a very, very important initiative. Ayushman Bharat, in my opinion, is a game changer from a point of view of the way in which the healthcare system is defined in our country. We never had a structured healthcare system. Now, this one is aiming to integrate all the stakeholders in one space. Now, this takes care of the common man, which is the below poverty line. What I'll be hoping where it will have an impact is the Ayushman Bharat 2.0, where it should address middle class people and above, where you drive demand side financing, you make sure the middle class people pay 2,000 rupees and entitled for a 5 lakh cover. Imagine the boom. Today, 3 lakh 8,000 crore is out of pocket. Assuming if that becomes a premium, imagine what happens to the health insurance. Imagine what happens to the access to care. So the language will change. It will become, rather than talking about price control, people will talking about quality control. People will talk about good quality drugs. And India will become a far bigger attractive destination for healthcare.
Okay, in terms of, and just going back to the first question that Nikunj was asking in terms of the numbers and in terms of growth, what's going to be the new normal now for the pharma industry? I mean, in terms of, what you're looking at, in terms of margins or in terms of pricing going forward, and also what you feel from an industry perspective perhaps could be the new normal?
See, I'm of the opinion that we will continue to grow at about 10 to 11% as an industry, probably in and around 10. And except that your margins are going to be driven by efficiency, not necessarily through price. Like, for example, the way in which you use AIs and make sure that you get the best out of the investment that you're making.
20% is a threshold, can I imagine that?
Which one, sorry?
Margins, 20% is a threshold for you?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. Now, last 5 years, what we've seen is that we've seen the generic market, the real, markets where doctors would give you Rangeen Goli, that market has contracted. GST has kicked in. Premiumization has started moving up. These are the large trends according to us in last 5 years for the domestic pharma industry. What are the large trends for next 5 years? Hypothetically, let's say if you're Moram, what do you think we would be discussing?
I think first thing we will discuss is the effect of insurance in the hands of people.
Okay.
I think when that happens,
What will that do?
it will drive quality awareness.
Okay.
And people will demand good quality drugs. Good outcomes are going to be a very critical. When that happens, people who are buying drugs today, they will ask the question, will it work?
Okay.
Today, bioavailability is not something which we talk. In future, people are going to say, what I'm having, is it going to cure my disease? Is it going to have an impact? So outcome will be a big conversation of the patients and the doctors.
That you wouldn't know till you consume, right?
No, the conversation today, the conversation is about price. How cheap the drug price should be.
Yeah.
That conversation will go, will I live longer? Will my morbidity will get resolved?
So better drugs, that's one point. What are the other trends? Better drugs is one point.
Right.
What else?
And then the use of technology, in my opinion, is going to make a huge change. We are seeing the impact of internet pharmacy, and where I somehow believe that the trend I envisage, capturing of data. When the healthcare data gets captured at the grassroots level, and if we have a good health analytics happen, actually you can predict the healthcare burden in every part of the country, and accordingly you can take a decision based on locality, where there is a cancer incident, where there is a liver. So for me, that is going to be a game changer. I think it's going at a good space. A lot of private equity players are working on it. I think the government also should be looking at how to leverage technology. I think this is going to be a big language change. I somehow believe price control to looking at how do we make sure people live longer and with quality, rather than saying people are just at 67 years old, longevity today, from 45 when we are at 1945. We are living longer, but now people want to live longer with good quality outcomes.
With healthier also.
With a healthier outcome.
If you grow at late double digit, let's say mid-teens, rule of 72, you will double in less than 6 years. I'm expecting that you'll grow better than this, because the trends, what you're telling me, they favor you. Which means, can I conservatively assume that your current turnover in next 4 to 5 years will be more than double?
That's my intention too.
I'm putting maths together.
No, but at the end of the day, that's our intention. That's why we are investing. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, the growth is one. Other one is that our ability to serve the patients are very critical.
So you do have the cure for a double-digit revenue performance.
That intention is there.
Okay, great to have you on the show as always. Thanks for taking the time out and speaking with us
Thank
today.
you very much.